Hi students, let us discuss about sampling theory introduction. Sampling theory. In our daily life, it becomes quite often necessary to draw some valid and reasonable conclusions concerning a large mass of individuals or things. It becomes practically impossible to examine every individual or the entire group known as population. For example, if we want to buy a bag of rice from the market, we cannot determine the quality of entire quantity. Instead, we take some sample of the rice and based upon its quality, we can judge the quality of the entire bag of rice. Therefore, we may prefer to examine a small part of this population known as a sample with the motive of drawing some conclusion about the entire population based on the information revealed by the sample. The entire process known as statistical inference aims in ascertaining maximum information about the population with minimum effort and time. Poll prediction is a good example for statistical inference. Population or universe. A large collection of individuals or attributes or numerical data can be understood as a population or universe. Sample. A finite subset of the universe is called a sample. Then sample size. The number of individuals in a sample is called a sample size. If the sample size n is less than or equal to 30, the sample is said to be small, otherwise it is a large sample. Sampling. The process of selecting a sample from the population is called as sampling. Next, random sampling. The selection of an individual or item from the population in such a way that each has the same chance of being selected is called as random sampling. Suppose we take a sample of size small n from a finite population of size capital N, then we will have NCN samples has an equal chance of being selected. Now sampling with replacement and sampling without replacement. Sampling where a member of the population may be selected more than once is called as sampling with replacement. On the other hand, if a member cannot be chosen more than once is called as sampling without replacement. Simple sampling is a special case of random sampling in which trials are independent and the probability of success is a constant. The word statistic is often used for the random variable or for its values. Sampling distributions. Let us suppose that we have different samples of size n drawn from a population. For each and every sample of size n, we can compute quantities like mean, standard deviation, etc. Obviously, these will not be the same. Suppose we group these characteristics according to their frequencies. The frequency distributions so generated are called sampling distributions. These can be distinguished as sampling distributions of mean, standard deviation, etc. The sampling distribution of large samples is assumed to be a normal distribution. The standard deviation of a sampling distribution is also called the standard error. Sampling distribution of the means. We consider all possible random samples of size n and determine the mean of each one of these samples. We discuss the sampling distribution of the sample means for the two possible types of random sampling with or without replacement associated with a finite population. Case 1, random sampling with replacement. Here the items are drawn one by one and are put back to the population before the next drop. If capital N is the size of the finite population and small n is size of the sample, then we have n power n, capital N power small n samples. The mean mu x bar of the frequency distribution of the sample means will be equal to the population mean mu, and the variance sigma x bar square of the frequency distribution of the sample means will be equal to sigma square by n, where sigma square is the variance of the population. Thus we have mu x bar is equal to mu and sigma x bar square is equal to sigma square by n. Sigma x bar is called the standard error of the means. Case 2. Random sampling without replacement. Here the items are drawn one by one and are not put back to the population before the next drop. In this case, there will be NCN samples and we have the following results in accordance with the notations used in the case 1. So mu x bar is equal to mu, sigma x bar square is equal to capital N minus small n divided by capital N minus 1 into sigma square by n. That can be written as C, capital C into sigma square by n, where capital C is equal to capital N minus small n divided by capital N minus 1, which is called the finite population correction factor. Note, if n is very large, then C is close to 1. That is the finite population correction factor C is close to 1. So as we have limit n minus n by n minus 1 as n tends to infinity is equal to 1. In practice, if n, capital N is large, the correction factor can be omitted. Example, let us consider a set containing the elements 1, 2, 3 constitute a population. We form the sampling distribution of the sample means in the case of 1. Random samples of size 2 with replacement, 2. Random samples of size 2 without replacement. Here capital N, that is the size of the finite population, that is 3. Then population mean mu is equal to 1 plus 2 plus 3 by 3, that is equal to 2, and population variance is equal to sigma square is equal to, we know the formula, it's 1 by 3 into 1 minus 2 whole square plus 2 minus 2 whole square plus 3 minus 2 whole square is equal to 2 by 3. Now case 1, random sample of size 2, that is small n is equal to 2 with replacement. The various possible samples are 1 1, 1 2, 1 3, 2 1, 2 2, 2 3, 3 1, 3 2, 3 3. So these are n power n, that is 3 square, so that is equal to 9, and the mean of these are respectively. So mean of the first one, 1 comma 1 is 1, mean of the second one, 1 comma 2 is 1.5, and so on. So we get the mean 1, 1.5, 2, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 2, 2.5, 3. We prepare the frequency distribution of these means, where x is the variate and f is the frequency. So we have x 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, and the corresponding frequencies. So 1 is 1, so we'll get 1. 1.5 twice we have it is 2, and 2 it is thrice 1, 2, 3, 3, 2.52, and 3 is 1. We shall compute the mean and variance of this frequency distribution. So mu x bar is equal to sigma fx by sigma f. So sigma fx, that is 1 into 1 plus 1.5 into 2 plus 2 into 3 plus 2.5 into 2 plus 3 into 1, that is the numerator, divided by the denominator is sigma f, that is sum of all these frequencies, that is 9, will get 2. Then variance sigma x bar square is equal to sigma f of x minus mu x bar whole square divided by sigma f. So sigma f is 9, so keeping 1 by 9 outside, we will get 1 into 1 minus 2 whole square plus 2 into 1 minus 1.5 minus 2 whole square plus 3 into 2 minus 2 whole square plus 2 into 2.5 minus 2 whole square plus 1 into 3 minus 2 whole square, etc. On simplification we get 1 by 3. Next, case 2, random sample of size 2 without replacement. So here we have 3C2, that is 3 samples. These samples are 1, 2, 2, 3 and 3, 1. And the associated means are 1.5, 2.5 and 2. And now we have the mean mu x bar is equal to 1.5 plus 2.5 plus 2 divided by 3, that is equal to 2. And the variance sigma x bar square is equal to 1 by 9 into 1.5 minus 2 whole square plus 2.5 minus 2 whole square plus 2 minus 2 whole square, that is 1 by 6. So here we know that mu x bar is equal to mu v is equal to 2. Also n minus n by n minus 1 into sigma square by n is equal to, by substituting the values we will get 1 by 6, that is sigma x bar square. So thus sigma x bar square is equal to 1 by 6. Note, suppose n, capital N is large, say 500, and n is small, say 5, then the correction factor C becomes 1. So that is C is equal to 500 minus 5 divided by 500 minus 1, that is equal to 495 by 499, that is 0.992, is nearly equal to 1. Next, testing of hypothesis. In order to arrive a decision regarding the population through a sample of the population, we have to make certain assumption referred to as hypothesis, which may or may not be true. Much depends on the framing of hypothesis. The hypothesis is formulated for the purpose of its rejection under the assumption that it is true is called the null hypothesis, denoted by H0. Any hypothesis which is complementary to the null hypothesis is called alternative hypothesis, denoted by H1. Examples. First one, to test whether a process B is better than a process A, we can formulate the hypothesis as there is no difference between the process A and B. Next example, to test whether there is a relationship between two variates, we can formulate the hypothesis as there is no relationship between them. Next, errors. In a test process, there can be 4 possible situations, of which 2 of the situations leads to the 2 types of errors, and the same is presented as follows. So here hypothesis is true, hypothesis is false. If you accept the hypothesis, then it is a correct decision, and if you reject the hypothesis, it's a wrong decision. So here it is called type 1 error. When the hypothesis is false, and if you accept the hypothesis, again it is wrong decision. We say it is type 2 error. When hypothesis is false, and if you reject the hypothesis, it is a correct decision. In order to minimize both these types of errors, we need to increase the sample size. It is further important to note that acceptance or non-acceptance of a hypothesis is purely based on the information revealed by the sample, and what is indicated by a particular sample may not always be true in respect of the population. Significance level. The probability level below which leads to the rejection of the hypothesis is known as the significance level. This probability is conventionally fixed at 0.05 or 0.01, that is 5% or 1%. These are called significance levels. We feel confident in rejecting a hypothesis at 1% level of significance than at 5% level of significance. 5% level of significance can also be understood as the probability of committing errors of either types, and that is type 1 or type 2 is 0.05. Tests of significance and confidence intervals. The process which helps us to decide about the acceptance or rejection of the hypothesis is called the test of significance. Let us suppose that we have a normal population with mean mu and standard deviation sigma. If x bar is the sample mean of a random sample of size n, the quantity z defined by z is equal to x bar minus mu divided by sigma by root n. So it is equation 1. It is called the standard normal variate. From the table of normal areas, we find that 95% of the area lies between z is equal to minus 1.96 and z is equal to plus 1.96. In other words, we say that with 95% confidence, z lies between minus 1.96 and plus 1.96. Further, 5% level of significance is denoted by z suffix 0.05. Thus, we can write in the mathematical form minus 1.96 less than equal to x bar minus mu divided by sigma by root n less than equal to plus 1.96. Now multiplying by sigma by root n, we get minus sigma by root n into 1.96 less than equal to x bar minus mu less than equal to sigma by root n into 1.96. So that implies mu less than equal to x bar plus sigma by root n 1.96 and x bar minus sigma by root n 1.96 less than equal to mu. Thus, we can write by combining the two results in the form, means we combine these two. We combine these two results. We get x bar minus 1.96 sigma by root n less than equal to mu less than equal to x bar plus 1.96 into sigma by root n. So it is equation 2. Similarly, from the table of normal areas, 99% of the area lies between minus 2.58 and plus 2.58. This is equivalent to the form x bar minus 2.58 into sigma by root n less than equal to mu less than equal to x bar plus 2.58 into sigma by root n. So it is equation 3. Thus, we can say that equation 2 is the 95% confidence interval in this expression, and equation 3, this inequality, is 99% confidence interval. The constants 1.96, 2.58, etc. in the confidence limits are called confidence coefficients denoted by ZC. From confidence levels, we can find confidence coefficients and vice versa. So this is the figure. This is for 95% and this is for 99% level of significance. So for 95% it lies between minus 1.96 to plus 1.96, and for 99% it is minus 2.58 to plus 2.58. is for 95% and 99%. As reflected in the figure, we can say that with 95% confidence that if the hypothesis is true, the value of z for an actual sample lies between minus 1.96 to plus 1.96, since the area under the normal curve between these values is 0.95. This one, this one. However, if the value of z for random sample lies outside this range, we can conclude that the probability of the happening of such an event is only 0.05 if the given hypothesis is true. The total shaded area 0.05 being the level of significance of the test represents the probability of making type 1 error, rejecting the hypothesis when it should have been accepted. The set of values of z outside the range minus 1.96, 1.96 constitutes the critical or significant reason or the reason of rejecting the hypothesis, whereas the values of z within the same range constitutes the insignificant reason or the reason of acceptance of the hypothesis. One-tailed and two-tailed tests. In our test of acceptance or non-acceptance of a hypothesis, we concentrated on the value of z on both sides of the mean. This can be categorically stated that the focus of attention lies in the two tails of the distribution, and hence such a test is called a two-tailed test. Sometimes we will be interested in the extreme values to only one side of the mean, in which case the reason of significance will be a reason to one side of the distribution. Obviously, the area of such a reason will be equal to the level of significance itself. Such a test is called a one-tailed test. The critical values of z, that is minus 1.96 and plus 1.96, as already stated with the reference to 5% and 1% level of significance, can be understood as the values in respect of a two-tailed test. However, the critical values of z in respect of one-tailed test, as found in the table of areas under a normal curve, are minus 1.645 and plus 1.645, minus 2.33 and plus 2.33 at 5% and 1% level of significance respectively. So this is a table which will be useful for working problems. So have test and critical value of z for 5% and 1% level. For one-tailed test, we have the critical values of z for 5% level as minus 1.645 and plus 1.645, and for 1% level it is minus 2.33 and plus 2.33. Whereas for two-tailed test, the critical values of z for 5% level of significance minus 1.96 and plus 1.96, and for 1% level it is minus 2.58 and plus 2.58. Thank you.